put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. My name is Akinlabi Holder. I want to say thank you. Welcome to all the viewers this morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Tuesday, May the 20th. Yes, and it's the beginning of the wet season. Yes, rain has been falling for some hours now, and I believe that the farmers are very, very happy that the wet season has come upon us. Yes, showers of blessings. We have a lot to discuss this morning, a lot in store for you. Yes, a lot in store. So thank you for viewing with us on our Facebook and YouTube live chats, also on AMPLIA 102, 121 and 130 on Flow. We have a lot to discuss this morning. So I hope you had your tea, you had your breakfast, you had your bread and butter or cakes and cheese, or whether you had a big spread. I hope you fill that tummy up and you're ready to go today for today's action. But before we get into any discussions, we go to our news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Akinlabi. Here's your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. The Division of Education, Research and Technology has launched a Tobago's Community Impact Program, a 2-year research-based initiative aimed at bridging educational gaps across the island. Education Secretary Zarisha Hackett emphasized that the program reflects Tobago's cultural and educational identity shaped through extensive community collaboration. Hackett described the launch as a milestone in educational transformation, reaffirming that every Tobagonian, regardless of age or background, deserves access to education. The initiative underscores the division's commitment to inclusive community-driven development, expanding opportunities not only for youths but also for adults across Tobago. Up next, the 2025 wet season officially begins in Trinidad and Tobago, according to the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service, following the weekend rain that triggered the yellow alert with thunderstorms and flash flooding reported. The wet season typically runs from June to December, though recent trends show May as the starting point. The Atlantic hurricane season overlaps with forecasts predicting near normal activities. Force systems may develop near TNT. The first tropical wave has emerged off Africa and is expected by May 25th. And finally, Tobago's tourism and fishing industries are undergoing threat as the sargassum seaweed crisis worsens despite significant cleanup investments. President of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, Reginald McLean, says over $250,000 has been spent tackling sargassum seaweed, yet the issue is escalating. He urges intervention from the THA and the Prime Minister, warning that tourism is suffering with visitors deterred and businesses overwhelmed by cleanup costs. A US $25 million UNDP Japan partnership will fund equipment and maintenance in Speyside. Meanwhile, All Tobago Fisher Folk Association President Curtis Douglas highlights the seaweed tolls on fishing, damaging engines, reducing catch, and threatening livelihoods. Both sectors are calling for urgent action to prevent lasting damage to Tobago's economy and reputation. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you very much, Biano, for that news in 90 seconds. And we see a number of issues coming to the forefront, particularly with that issue with the seaweed and its impact on our tourism industry. We know that the seaweed, the sargassum seaweed, has been a problem for over 10 years now, and it just doesn't seem to be abating. It seems to be getting a bit worse and worse So we hope that we could find a solution to that seaweed problem.
Yes, yes. And the president of the Hotel Association, they call in for the THA as well as the Prime Minister to step in and give some assistance.
Yes, yes. And we saw that they also have access to some sort of United Nations funding. We hope that the powers that be could really get together and really solve that issue, because it is becoming an overbearing burden on the industry, the tourism industry, and also the fisher folk, as mentioned in the news story.
Yes.
So, Biana.
Yes, Akinlabi.
I hope that you have a good day today. I don't know what your plans are, but I hope that you have a good day and that you stay safe and you stay productive.
Well, it's raining, so you know it's going to be an inside day for me.
Okay then. Well, you can be productive inside as well.
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you very much for that, Biana. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the day, that time that we celebrate with those who are celebrating, our birthday shout-outs. Yes, and we want to start the birthday shout-outs hot and heavy today. We're going to say happy birthday to Miss Lily Jordan Decan. Happy lucky 7th birthday to you, Miss Lily Jordan Decan. You can see the little girl there being very feisty. She has a very feisty, confident disposition. We wish you God's greatest blessings. We know that your family is going to be there with you, giving you plenty presents, maybe dollies. I don't know what it is the little children like these days, maybe some Roblox or something like that. But happy birthday to you, Miss Decan. We also want to wish happy birthday to Miss Kershaw Redman. Happy birthday to you, Miss Redman. We know today is your special day, and we know those who love and cherish you are going to make you feel loved and cherished on your special day, and we wish you God's richest blessings, and we hope you take some time off to reflect on God's blessings in your life. We want to also say happy birthday to Miss Malika Darlington. Miss Darlington, happy birthday to you. Again, we wish you God's richest blessings. We wish you His favor and His blessings in your life. We hope that your friends, your family, your loved ones, they shower you with gifts, they shower you with love today and make you feel special on your special day. Mr. Sean Roberts, happy birthday to you, sir. Looking very dapper in your suit, looking very dapper there and very refined with the glasses and the bald head. Reminds me of somebody within studio here. But we wish you happy birthday. We wish you happy birthday, sir. We hope you take the day off, you rest, you relax, you recover, because you know we all work hard, and that you spend it with persons that will not bring any stress for you, but they would pamper you and make you feel good on your special day. Moving swiftly along to Miss Trisha Guy. We want to wish you a happy belated birthday, Miss Guy, and we hope that you spent your day just recuperating, relaxing, enjoying the blessings that God has given you over all these years, allowing you to see another year of life. Happy birthday to you. And we want to say happy birthday to Mr. Gary Melville, former politician, Mr. Gary Melville. We know that you have a lot of friends and family, and we know that they love and cherish you, and they would be there to celebrate with you today. We hope that you pop maybe some champagne or sparkling juice or something like that. But you celebrate with all your friends and your family, and you have a good time today. And finally, we say happy birthday to Miss Natalia Henry. Happy birthday to you, Miss Natalia Henry. We're seeing here now that you are one that really likes to go all out for your birthday, and we hope that you're going all out today to celebrate the fact that God has preserved you to see another year, has preserved you on earth for another year for a purpose, and that you also take some time out in your celebrations to reflect on what your purpose is in this life. Happy birthday to you, Miss Henry. So we had a lot of birthdays to celebrate today, but We want to get right into what we're going to be discussing this morning. And this morning we're going to have on Councillor Tashia Grace Burris, who is the Secretary for Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. And we're going to have a very extended interview with her. And she's going to be talking about a number of issues, including a cruise ship season post-mortem, new possibilities with the new governance in the aftermath of the general elections, and the upcoming plans and projects of the Division for Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. So stick with us. We're going to have a very extensive interview. It's going to be very interesting, very insightful. But we need to go for a break. So do us a favor. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after these messages.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
With Flow Business's new smart solutions, powered by super fast, reliable broadband, you'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back, viewers, to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And we have in studio with us this morning Councillor Tashia Grace Burris, who is the Secretary of the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. Good morning and welcome, Secretary.
Good morning, Akinlabi, and thank you so much for the welcome. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, viewers all over the world. Share the live, share the live, share the live. Thank you for being here this morning.
So, Secretary, we saw that recently the cruise season would have come to an end, cruise season 2024-2025. Yes. What are your thoughts on the cruise season?
Well, you know, cruise tourism is a very important part of our tourism ecosystem on the island of Tobago. So whereas some people focus on our landed international passengers, or there are some persons focus more on our domestic product, the cruise tourism is something that Tobago has, I think, as one of our competitive advantages. This year, we welcomed just over 40 ships to the island of Tobago that brought just over 50,000 visitors to our shores, and that those persons not only experienced sun, sand and sea and everything that Tobago had to offer. They went on tours, they did food excursions, they immersed themselves in what makes Tobago so unique, so unspoiled, so untouched. Feedback that I've gotten from some persons indicates that they love the destination. Tobago remains one of those destinations that are top of mind for persons. Certainly, they also made recommendations as to how we could continue to improve our product, recommendations on how we could improve our port infrastructure, recommendations on how we could improve our attractions. But all in all, a very robust season, not like the season before where we welcomed almost double that amount because we had that amount of ships coming into the destination. And one thing about cruise tourism is that it always fluctuates. There is no static number of ships that comes every season. So some seasons may be good for some reason, some seasons may be a little bit quieter. So this season was a little bit quieter, but all in all, I think a very successful season. As far as I'm aware, we received no reports of any injuries or any negative incidents against our visitors, and I think that is a huge plus because previous season we had some challenges where persons fell ill on the ship. They had to get local medical attention, but so far for the season I have not received any negative reports in terms of anybody falling ill or anybody, you know, having any incidents while on land or anything that happened to them negatively. So I'm happy for that. I always see that as a success, and we look forward to next year's cruise ship season after we've done a postmortem this year, spoken to our stakeholders, get an idea of what more we can do, put some training in place, and obviously put things in place for next year.
So, Secretary, you mentioned things being a bit smoother in terms of coordination than previous season. Can you just speak to us about what the division would have done to make that coordination and that synergy between the various stakeholders much better this season?
So there was more communication taking place this year in terms of pulling people into meetings very early. We also offered training at the very beginning of the season for the major actors who are in the space. So we're talking about the taxi drivers, the persons who operate as tour guides, the persons who are frontward facing staff when it comes to specifically dealing with cruise passengers. And I feel that training certainly helps to prepare people for the season ahead of them. And also, you know, you always want to foster collaboration amongst your stakeholders. And coming out of last season where there were some challenges with the transportation and things like that, there was a lot more, I think, communication taking place across all of the actors. Certainly, we would always want to be in a position where everything goes smoothly. You know, we have some very passionate stakeholders, I would say that. But the passion extends to them only just simply wanting the best for Tobago and wanting to put Tobago's best foot forward. So I have to take the opportunity to congratulate all of our stakeholders who came together, they banded together, they made the season a resounding success. I also want to say congratulations to the Tobago Performing Arts Company, which created history, having been the first group in Tobago to perform a full-length, a feature-length production on one of our cruise vessels that docked. I think that augurs well for our creative sector and our orange economy. It shows that Tobago has a repository of talent. We're overflowing with talent, and for the TPAC to be able to go on board the residence cruise ship, to be able to give that stellar performance, to come away with rave reviews, it says to us that we have the ingredients to get it right in Tobago. We just have to make sure and massage that and make sure that next year and the years beyond that we continue to improve on the products that we offer.
So, Secretary, you mentioned that upcoming, the post-mortem
Yes.
for the cruise season is upcoming.
Yes.
What are some of the issues that you see that the division and the stakeholders could build upon working towards bettering?
So the beautiful thing about having the post-mortem is that we will have our counterparts from the Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago present. I spoke to the CEO over the weekend and he has indicated that he would be present. So we would get the opportunity to raise some of our concerns where the cruise ship infrastructure is concerned with him directly. And certainly we will be able to hear from him what plans are up in place to improve the general infrastructure of the port. Because one of the things that puts people or positions destinations where cruise shipping is concerned is two things: excellent cruise port infrastructure, and that's not just the infrastructure to berth the vessels, but we're talking about things like duty free and things like that. And in addition to that, very excellent attractions in the destination. So Tobago has the opportunity to build on the two things. One, improving our cruise ship port infrastructure, and we would hope that one of the plans, especially with this new government coming in, is that we would really look at building out cruise ship infrastructure in Tobago that will encourage more ships to dock to the destination, and certainly having a duty-free section on the port as part of its operations will be a huge plus for us. In addition to that, we continue to improve upon our attractions that belong to the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. But in a few weeks' time, we would actually be launching our Community Sustainable Tourism Development Grant Program. And what that does is that for each of the 15 electoral districts, we want to get the area representative working with a group, working with persons within their communities to develop a new tourism attraction. So the idea is that once we get these projects on board, that is 15 new attractions that we're hoping to bring into the space before the advent of the next cruise ship season. So that persons who have been coming to Tobago for a number of years and they've been going to the regular things, they're going to Plymouth, they're going and see the Mystery Tombstone, they're going to Storey, they're going to Pigeon Point, they're going to the Cocoa Estate, they're going to Argyle Waterfall, which are the main attractions that are on offer. We would want to be able to say and communicate to them, hey, there are 15 brand new attractions that we're bringing on board within our communities, because we see the importance of community-based tourism and how that drives economies within communities. So we are excited to see some of the projects that are coming out. I already have seen a proposal for a heritage park in honor of Royal Titus in Mount St. George. I've also seen a project to do 2 play parks in Lambo and Lowlands. There's also the Gangang Sarah grave in Golden Lane, which we would want to do some work at. So I'm very excited to see the projects that the area reps and their community persons would be coming up with, and certainly excited to be able to announce to Tobago what those 15 projects are, so that Tobagonians, Trinidadians, all persons who love all things Tobago can now have 15 new things to do on destination.
I wanted to go delve more into that idea of the community tourism projects, because it sounds very, very interesting. How do you see community tourism really impacting not just the tourism product that we have, but also the communities themselves? How do you see transforming those communities?
So we've done this before. This is not us reinventing the wheel. When you talk about community-based tourism, and the best example of it working, it's really Castara. So when you think about a community that has embraced all ideas of what tourism brings to the table, tourism and culture brings to the table, it's really that Castara model that we talk about is really the ideal place that we want to aim for, where Castara has become world-renowned. You know, there are people who have been staying at Castara for the last 15, 20 years straight. They've seen nothing else on the island except to land in the airport and go straight to Castara. In fact, they don't even say they're coming to Tobago. They say they're going Castara. And that is how Castara has become so successful, and without government intervention. This was literally the persons in the community deciding, here what? We have some natural assets here. We have a beautiful beach. We have a fishing industry. We have artisans. We have culture. We have events. You know, let us invest in ourselves. So, you know, persons started improving their homes. People started adding on. You know, people got together. They borrowed money. They pooled their resources, and you know, they started to build this model. So they a model was accommodation. Let's see if we can get some accommodation in this space. And the accommodation is not what people would think of in terms of a sandals and a 6-star and a 7-star, but they understood what their guests were looking for. So they did their research and they realized that people coming to Castara wanted to have a more laid-back experience. They want to have comfort. You know, it's not necessarily about bright lights and a lot of noise. And, you know, they come into Castara to unwind, to experience something that they don't experience back home. So a lot of thought went into having accommodations that were more rustic, that were more in line with nature, more in line with the aesthetic of the community. And then obviously you have persons who will then set up shops, they'll set up restaurants, a cafe, and then you have the persons who are doing tours. So now they're offering more things. So when you come to Castara, you could go on a tour, you could go out on the reef, you have the stingrays that are coming up, and that has become an attraction over the years. And even just to relax, just to unwind, we all know what Castara gives. And when you consider that someone who visits the community of Castara, spending all of their money in Castara, because they are paying for their accommodation, they're staying there. The taxi driver most likely picking them up from the airport is from Castara. They are shopping in the shops right there in the village. They are staying in the places there. They are patronizing the restaurants and the cafes. So all of the money that a visitor would spend who comes to Castara is actually staying in that ecosystem, the dirt oven bread. So that, you know, even that has become an attraction, the hiking to the waterfalls. So they've really done their homework and they've done such an excellent job in terms of even marketing Castara. And as I said, all of that was done without government intervention. And we've always talked about how do we replicate the Castara model across the island of Tobago. And the thing that really kind of makes Castara unique is the experience that they give. Every single villager is on board with ensuring that persons come back to Castara, so that you're going to pass in the road and you're going to get smiles, you're going to get that A-class service, you're going to get everything that you dream of when you pay for a vacation and walk away feeling like if you got value for your money. And that is what we need to. Just a service culture. Service is basic. We have to think about what is the experience we want to leave with people. We want people to be able to leave our establishments, leave our hotels, leave our restaurants and say, look, I'm going to come back there because I had such a good time. I'm going to spend my money there again because those persons were so friendly. The food was well prepared. The service was excellent. I'm going to recommend it to my friends and family because every time I go, the service is consistent. And that is where we have to get to. The one thing that Tobago has above all other Caribbean destinations, in my view, is everything in spades that God created, whether it be sun, sand, sea, culture, events, you name it, food, people, we have it in spades. We just have to become more attentive, I think, to our visitors. We have to make sure that we roll out the red carpet the same way we do for harvest and Christmas time as we are wanted to do, and simply, you know, elevate that experience for them.
And do you believe that this community projects is the beginning of really replicating that Castara model throughout the island?
I agree, because to be honest with you, even without the physical infrastructure of an attraction, every single community in Tobago has something that could be monetized by way of tourism. When you just think of the harvest product, and most major communities in Tobago have harvest, that in and of itself is something that we can sell, and we can build a model around that harvest where we are encouraging people to come into the community days before, and there's a whole, you know, ritual, there's a whole experience that they go through, and then they get to the harvest experience, and then they have the crop over experience. So you're talking about getting people into the community 3 or 4 days before, 2 days before, and having them immerse themselves completely in what the community has to offer. So they come in for harvest, but they're going on a tour. They're coming for harvest, but they're visiting a waterfall. They're coming for harvest, but they're going and feed hummingbirds somewhere. They come for harvest, but they go and raise 2 goats, you know, so that people get to learn the history, learn the culture of Tobago, and get to experience more. And that's what we have to focus on, experiencing more. Because when you come to the destination, it's not just about we go and relax on the beach, that's all we're going to do. No, you need to experience more, because Tobago calls to you, Tobago beckons you to come discover. And that is what we want to encourage, that people come and discover. So when you talk about Tobago, we're not just talking about Store Bay, because people feel like the best crab and dumpling in Store Bay, but they have a man in Roxborough who hand real sweet, and he crab good too. They have somebody in Golden Lane, he hand sweet too, them crab good too. They have some fellas up in Runnymede, them could bust a pot too. Experience more. So that's what we want to encourage, for persons to come and explore and experience more. And we have attractions throughout the island. We have attractions in Goodwood. You know, there's a cross that marks the center of the island. There's Do people know that? The people in Goodwood might know, but the average person who might be living elsewhere might not know that. There are some hidden waterfalls. I went chasing waterfalls a couple months ago, and there's this beautiful waterfall in Lamy Road, Roxborough. Now, the people in Roxborough know that they have two waterfalls, it's Argyle and that one. But the average person might just know Argyle Waterfall. These are some of the attractions that we want to open up to allow people to experience more.
And this idea of opening up the new attractions and the community attractions, it wouldn't only just benefit the community, because particularly when we're talking about cruise ship season, it open a new possibility of attractions for drivers and tour operators to take persons on.
Definitely, because one of the set of feedback that we've gotten is that Tobago has a tendency to attract the types of tourists who don't necessarily like mass tourist destinations. So they more come from the UK, they more come from European countries, and you know, they want to go to attractions that feel more off the beaten path, so that they don't want to go to an attraction and have to fight with 1,000 people to take a selfie. You know, they would want to be able to go to an attraction, it's just a tour group of 20 people or 40 people or 50 people. And the more attractions we have, it's easier for us to spread persons across the island, and certainly, as I said, spread that cruise ship spend. So it's not just concentrated in certain areas. And because we have that opportunity to spread that spend, we want to encourage persons to get into tourism, to get ready for all of the possibilities that tourism offers, because we do have an airport to operationalize. We do have to go aggressively to speak to airlines to get them to fly into the destination. We can't simply just wait on a sandals to be built. There's a time between that and then what are we doing in the meantime? And there was a time in Tobago's history where we used to attract thousands of tourists every single year, who was staying on island, who was staying in local indigenous properties, in addition to the fact that we, yes, had a Hilton. But I'm saying to the people of Tobago that tourism is a very viable investment, not just for the people who live here, but for the people who love here. Because the reality is that we are able to be part of breaking through that noise. As I said, Tobago is not just sun, and sea, and we are beckoning people to experience more. And if we can show them what those experiences look like, in 3 short years, Tobago October Carnival is up there, on the lips, on the hearts, on the minds of persons all over the world. And, you know, I had a meeting with the Canadian High Commissioner last week, and she was telling me that, you know, there's some bands who are launching in Toronto in an event coming up in the mid of June, and there are some bands that are doing some collaborations with local bands, so they're bringing sections for the Tobago Carnival. So Tobago October Carnival has gone international, so that if we are using that to start a conversation about what more is there to experience in Tobago, what better time for persons to experience Tobago than when we have a major festival going on. So the idea behind all of this simply is that we have to get ready. We have to get ready for the opportunities that tourism is going to offer. We have to be able to attract the most passionate people, the people who are most passionate about the tourism product, to be our face, to be our front line, to be the persons greeting our guests, to be the persons who are responsible for their experiences on island. Because the reality is that I believe that my people are the warmest, friendliest people that you can meet in the world. Where else in the world you could come in somebody's house and eat their food and drink their drinks for free, and you could be a perfect stranger? Only in Tobago that could happen. And we simply have to replicate that, and we certainly have to spread that success throughout the island. And I think that we will be poised for greatness.
Secretary, we have so much to talk about, but we need to go for a break, pay some bills, and come right back. So, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, we will be right back after these messages. But do us a favor, the conversation is going great. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after these messages.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme.
Well, I want a proper window for me house, yeah? I want no shake thing in my place.
Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces.
We get one wall on the side and we get one hole. You can put a window there, the invent something, a window for put there.
At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style.
Well, me meet here. Me don't know who I'm talking to, but I have my cousin Tufina tell me for call all you go get proper thing for put that. Me don't know.
Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business.
Driven? No, I ain't driving. I get a bus ticket. One of me pick me them go drop me down there. Must bring me down there. Russo Trace Springer down by the page down there.
Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products, it's about relationships. It's about you.
It's all about me? Who's your family? You know Edna and Dorka and them, you know them, but you resemble them Edward boy and them Edward people them you.
Tobago Glass Supplies, Russo Trace Spring Garden, telephone number 639-6266. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games, and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back, viewers, to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And we're continuing the conversation with Councillor Tashia Grace Burris, Secretary of the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. And we want to shift gears just a bit, and we want to talk about the new possibilities with the start of the new government in administration.
So I want to say congratulations to the incoming government. I know that the swearing in is taking place on Friday. We have a cabinet in place. We have our prime minister. And, there's excitement in the air. And I think that is for good reason. I think there's an opportunity definitely for Tobago to be able to feel as if we're side by side. And really that there is a government that really is taking care of the needs of the people of Tobago. You would notice that there's no longer a Ministry of Tourism. So tourism has now been married to trade and investment, and culture has now gone back to its previous home with community development. And some persons ask me, how do I feel that there's no longer a Ministry of Tourism? I said, well, one of the things that I can see as a strategic shift is aligning tourism with trade and investment, because the reality is that when you have a conversation about tourism, a lot of it centers around how are we encouraging people to invest? How are we investing in tourism? And how are we creating an environment where we are competitive? We weren't really getting that before, because what you would have is, because you have a standalone ministry and then you have a ministry that's responsible for trade and investments, and when you discuss things like the land license that's going to a minister of finance, you recognize that there was a lot of, there were a lot of bureaucracy and there are a lot of gaps, and so I feel I am cautiously optimistic where this is concerned, because it signals, I think, the government's intention to look at tourism as a serious economic driver and not just align it to culture, not the idea of culture that some people may have, but more event tourism, performing arts, entertainment. That's what people think when they talk culture, but culture is far bigger and broader than that. But taking tourism and aligning it with trade and investment, as I said, signals to me that the government intends to really create a true economic driver out of the tourism sector. And that is where both Tobago and Trinidad have to be on the same page. And certainly sitting in the chair for the last 3.5 years has given me such deep insight as to what is required to help Tobago become more competitive. And a lot of the challenges that we face are not necessarily things that the THA has responsibility for. And I will give you a classic example. We don't have responsibility for the airport. The airport is under the Airports Authority, and the Airports Authority is under a line minister in Trinidad. In the past, that was under the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. There's now a Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation. So I would have to see the Gazette to make sure that they're either aligned with that ministry or they're still under Works and Infrastructure. But whatever the situation is, the THA is not responsible for the airport. And even though the 5th schedule of the Tobago House of Assembly Act states that the THA is responsible for airports and seaports, that has never been actioned. Those infrastructure, those assets were never handed over to the Tobago House of Assembly to be the stewards of them on behalf of the people of Tobago. And that's a conversation that we can begin to have. What we have to do on island is to build our capacity, because it's one thing for us to want the responsibilities, another thing for us to be able to handle the responsibility. And that is why one of the things that, again, upcoming, because we are weaving in the conversation and I'm talking about some of the things that we have in the pipeline, because I know a lot of people feel, oh, we're not seeing Tasha, what's going on and stuff. A lot of things are cooking in the tourism, the Division of Tourism kitchen. So we have the .CAT scholarship program. And the purpose of this scholarship program is to encourage people to study the areas in the sector that we would need persons to build that capacity for 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. And it's not just traditional tourism. We don't want to send people to school to just study hospitality and tourism management. We have a lot of those people around. We want people to study transportation. We want people to study cruise ship. We want people to study statistics and analysis and market research and all of these things that we require, because the sector is not just made up of people who are in the hospitality part of the sector. Transportation is a huge area, and we are hard pressed to find people who are qualified in those areas. So we want, through that scholarship program, to really encourage persons who are in high school and even persons who have come out of school and might be working and thinking, what is a career that I can get involved in? These are some of the areas that we will need people in a short order, because if we're going to be taking up those responsibilities of an airport or running a port, it requires persons who are qualified. Things like maritime engineering, maritime science, management, where port infrastructure and shipping is concerned. We need persons to get qualified in those areas. A lot of those professionals are from Trinidad, or we'll have to source them outside if we were to put out for vacancies. So we want our people to understand that tourism sector is not just about putting heads in beds and serving drinks and, working front desk and that kind of thing. There are so many careers that are available to persons. So part of that sensitization for when we launch that program, and I have some upcoming visits to high schools. So the idea is to have those personal one-on-one and start to get them thinking deeper about the opportunities that are available in the tourism sector, so that when they're picking their subjects or when they're about to write their exams, even if they had in their mind, look, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an engineer, which are very, very good professions to want to be in, Tobago also has need of a whole list of other areas, and especially where the tourism sector is concerned, and certainly wanting to attract the persons, as I said, who are very passionate about the sector. So for me, there are so many opportunities that are presented with a new government coming into play, and hoping that there's a clean slate so that Tobago could now approach them and say, look, these are the things that we need to be solved for us to be able to really get this thing going. Things like the land license, top of the list. We need to have responsibility for determining who gets to buy land in Tobago. That responsibility by right should not reside with a Minister of Finance in Trinidad, who may not understand, obviously, the nuances of what is happening in Tobago, things like that. Certainly getting the CAL situation corrected. People don't understand that, the most successful tourism destinations who have airlines attached to their product is because that airline and that tourist board are working together, because they're doing the research and they're asking themselves, where are the markets that we need to fly to bring people who want to experience what is here? We've never had that relationship with CAL. So CAL is over here doing whatever CAL is doing, and we're over here doing what we're doing. And CAL's mandate should really be to grow the numbers into the two destinations, Tobago and Trinidad. What is that strategy? We all need to come to the table together. So we need to be on the same page as Visit Trinidad. In Trinidad, CAL also has to be there, and we three have to sit down and craft that tourism airlift strategy, so that CAL is not just picking up and deciding where it wants to fly, because they are more concerned about their bottom line as a company. What they have to do is, yes, you have to be concerned about your bottom line, but at the same time, how are we growing the numbers into the destination? And it's not even just about a numbers conversation, it's a spend conversation. Because when we're talking about tourism's contribution to GDP, again, that's one of those big lofty goals we have to set. Right now, based on the amount of international passengers coming into Tobago, tourism's contribution to GDP, according to the last budget, was somewhere between 12 and 13%. Ideally, tourism's contribution to GDP should be closer to 25% of what we earn into the destination called Tobago, because we have to build those productive sectors as pillars of our economy. The focus can't just be on THA spend. It can't just be about THA employing persons and employing the majority of persons on island. We have to be able to grow the tourism sector to be an economic driver and to be a creator of jobs. The same way how we have to do that for the agricultural sector. Whatever the pillars we decide them to be, could be technology and all, whatever they are, tourism has to get to the place where it's taking up a chunk of persons who are employable, and we must be able to get those persons in the areas that they are passionate about. And as I say, it's not just about front desk operations and making beds. The tourism sector has a wide range of opportunities available. So based on the makeup of the new government, I actually have to cultivate relationships with about 7 line ministers. So that would include the Minister of Trade, Investments and Tourism, the Minister of Community Development and Culture, the Minister of Transportation and Civil Aviation, the Minister of Works and Infrastructure, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Finance. I'm missing one person.
But it's a lot.
6 or 7, yeah.
A lot of persons.
So there are a lot of persons that certainly I would need to be introduced to, and as soon as things settle down and Parliament has been convened and persons are nicely settled in their offices, we'll be going aggressively to do our courtesy visits and have our first meetings and start to discuss how we can collaborate, because that is the word, collaboration. It's not about shouting across the waters and demanding X, Y, and Z. So I will no longer be on a soapbox somewhere, cussing CAL. I hope I don't have to do that anymore, because I really want, a very, very, very cordial relationship going forward, and for people to understand that Tobago plays a very critical role in the country's successful tourism sector. and having for the last 3.5 years advocated strongly on behalf of the destination at regional and international forum, the doors are open for us to step up and take our place among the greats. And when we think about the Caribbean greats in tourism, we think in Jamaica, we think in Bahamas, we think in Cayman Islands, we think in Turks and Caicos, we think in Barbados. Trinidad and Tobago needs to be right up there, and those doors are open for us, and it's for us to walk through. So I am excited. I always love to be able to start with a clean slate. There's no turning back at this point, because there are so many things that are pregnant with potential that just need to be birthed. And I think that with a stronger relationship, a stronger collaboration between the Tobago House of Assembly and central government, where all things Tobago are concerned, we are in the best position to experience exponential growth over the next couple of years. And I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to be part of it at this time. And I want the people of Tobago to understand that we simply need, as I said, to get ready. We cannot let these opportunities come and somebody else come on the island and take advantage of them. We are living here, and we are the ones who have to benefit the most from this thing working. And I want to see our people benefit. And I could tell you, even speaking to young people who are excited about the tourism sector, they have so many ideas. They're full of exciting ideas. And, you know, again, upcoming, we're in conversations with the Division of Finance to launch our business grants and business loans program specifically geared towards the tourism and creative sectors, because we know traditionally persons and businesses that have been operating in those sectors have found challenges where getting financing is concerned, you know. So we have now said, here what, we need to focus on building capacity in those areas. So it's not just about persons who have brick and mortar establishments. So you want to open a guest house, you want to have an Airbnb, you want to open a restaurant or a bar, but the creative sector, all of those persons who drive what we see, the visuals of what this thing is. So the content creators, the influencers, the promoters, the DJs, the people who are in the entertainment sector, how are we getting them to be able to access some financing, to purchase assets, to be able to build their businesses? And this is what that program will seek to address.
So, Secretary, I know you touched on it earlier about the central government's responsibilities impacting our ability to develop our tourism products. And I know earlier, some months ago, weeks ago, you would have stated in the legislature that we're having conversations with the airlines, but it's very difficult to get the approvals to come through.
At that time,
Do you think that that's one of the first things that you will tackle?
There's a lot of firsts on that list. We want to put everything at number one, but you know, one of the conversations certainly is how do we make this process easier? How do we streamline this process? Because the thing that we get in licks on from all the other destinations is our ability to be able to be competitive, that ease of doing business. So that I have my counterparts in St. Lucia who just a couple months ago passed some updated tourism investment legislation. Their aim is to, once somebody applies for whatever their relative permits or their requisite permits to do whatever business, and they have their money, they have their documents, that they're supposed to get that license within 14 days. So you're talking about from the day that they make the application to the day that a license arrives in their hand, 14 days, and they've set that as a KPI. And we don't have similar type policies. So that I would have a situation where someone applied for a license to purchase property to be able to build a hotel, and it took him 9 years to get the license. And this is the challenge. This is one of the biggest challenges we have in Tobago. So it's not like if there's a lack of persons who wanting to invest, but because of the lack of that ease of doing business, that turns them off and that turns them away, and they go to other destinations who are ready and they have put infrastructure in place to be ready and to be responsive. So one of the things that we do have to address in terms of being able to grow tourism as one of those economic pillars is our ease of doing business where that area is concerned. We have to make sure that the tourism face that we put on is not just about welcoming you to come and eat and drink and see and explore, but when you want to come and do business, you get the same kind of energy. We want you to bring your documents, we vet them quickly, we pass it through the process, and that we are holding your hand every step of the way, and we give you excellent service. So at the end of your process, you could say, oh, this was so easy. I want my friends to come and invest in Tobago.
Okay, Secretary, so we have to go for another break. We have to go for another break, but we'll be right back after these messages. So do us a favor. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after.
best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorns Place with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorns Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
TNTech is pleased to advise that its Roxborough Service Center has reopened. Starting Monday, 10th March, customers can once more visit the Roxborough Administrative Building to pay TNTech bills, request new connections, and more. TNTech, powering the nation into the next generation.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We're having some interesting conversations here with the Secretary of the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. But before we go back into that conversation, we want to take you to the photo of the day, our photo of the day. Yes, and that's our photo of the day sent in by Nature Therapy TT. Can you tell me where this is? Can you tell us here at Tobago Updates where this photo was taken? Photo sent in by Nature Therapy TT. Send your answers into our Facebook and YouTube live chats, and we will reveal the answer at the end of our program. All right, so we're back into the conversation, Secretary, and we want to talk about future plans and projects. I know you mentioned a couple of things, but I'd like to dive a bit more into that. You mentioned the scholarship program. That sounds very interesting.
Yes. So we've divided our executable projects into soft and hard projects. So, at the beginning of this fiscal year, the administration communicated our 44 in 44. And I have 4 things on that list of 44. Well, actually 5, but the 5th one has an asterisk next to it. So we've already delivered the Fort King George, the iconic Fort King George Lighthouse. And actually this, as we speak, the light is being installed because it took a while to get here. We had to, order it from outside, and it took a couple weeks to get here. So we are now installing that iconic light. And certainly we want to complete the fantasy, which is for people to see that iconic light being turned on, and it's sweeping across the waters, conjuring up the memories of what we had as a child. And that lighthouse stands as a beacon in a lot of persons' mind, to represent the city of Scarborough and represent that particular area and the history, and it's so rich of that space. And we're very proud of the work that was done by the team at EIDCOT and the contractor Parks International. And we've only gotten a lot of rave reviews about the new infrastructure and how it looks, and so everybody's enjoying that space again, and that's part of a wider plan to improve the entire of the Fort King George aesthetic. So that's one project we have delivered. We are in the process of having the Swallows vendor strip being delivered as well. So we have the booths there are 95% complete. We simply have to now place the infrastructure along the waterfront there. So last year, there has been move to clean up that yes. beachfront. Swallows is one of the more iconic beaches that we have on the southwest of the island, and understanding that we have to balance the considerations of nature and what that brings, but also create opportunities for persons to ply their trade legally and legitimately. We ask the vendors, to treat with their infrastructure. We would bring in infrastructure. We would build it to specifications. We would make sure that we're able to accommodate as much as possible the persons who were displaced during that process. So we would want to be able to deliver that project over the next few weeks with some brand spanking new booths on that waterfront, so that it now takes on the look and feel of a space that is going to encourage commerce and encourage people to walk along that strip, encourage people to visit Swallows Beach and Pigeon Point Beach, and as I say, provide an opportunity for persons to legally and legitimately ply their trade. So that's the second deliverable. The third deliverable is the Scarborough Beautification Project. So the idea behind that, obviously, is we're going to be sprucing up the city of Scarborough, and that would be in time for our bumper July, August vacation period, where we see the bulk of our domestic traffic coming into the island of Tobago, and in time for upcoming cruise ship season and Tobago October Carnival. So the works that would be the responsibility of the Division of Tourism would largely center around that Milford Road waterfront. I cannot reveal too much of the plans just yet, but we have some exciting things that we want to be able to roll out. The first phase of that project was the work that we did to improve the boardwalk in Scarborough and to rehabilitate in Lennox Union Park uptown next to the Assembly Legislature. Yes. So the second phase, as I said, will focus on that not Milford Road anymore, Calypso Rose Boulevard. So it would focus on Calypso Rose Boulevard and enhancing that very iconic waterfront. Certainly, as I said, to accommodate all of the traffic and all of the things that are going to be happening along the waterfront for Carnival and for all the other times during the year. And then the fourth project is finally finishing our home of the Blue Food Festival in Bloody Bay. So we started some work. Phase one was completed, which was all of the preparation works, getting the site ready, putting in all of the underground infrastructure, things like that. This year we actually want to now finish the rest of the work, which would be the inclusion of the booths, the building in of amenities, bathrooms, toilet facilities, things like that. And certainly landscaping the area so it becomes an attraction in and of itself. So it's not about just having the area ready to host our Blue Food, but encouraging other events taking place in this space and getting some more traffic up to that Bloody Bay area, because it's one of the most beautiful parts of Tobago. The Chief Secretary will fight me. He keeps saying that space side is the most beautiful part of Tobago, but I'm from Northeast, I'm from Palatavere, so we go fight where that one is concerned. But certainly when you think about tourism and you think about having people to leave what they know to experience more, Bloody Bay is one of the most perfect places that people could go to experience more. So we will want to have that facility in place, and it will encourage, as I said, more events to take place, more tourism activity. There's a very strong and vibrant village councils in those areas, so building their capacity to also host their own events and things like that. So those are the focus in terms of major spend projects. The fifth one, and that's where the asterisk is the Strawberry redevelopment. Right. The Strawberry redevelopment is a huge undertaking, and it's going to cost a pretty penny to do the thing that we want to do. And this fiscal year has been pretty difficult in terms of us being able to source the requisite funding internally to be able to start that project. And I don't want to start the project and then it goes follow because we don't have the funding to continue. We want to be sure that once we break ground on that project, we're able to, because it's divided into two phases, we could actually do the construction in one phase, but we also have the planning divided into two phases, so that if we start phase one, we should be able to finish phase one. If we start phase two, we should be able to finish phase two. So, that project is actually one of those flagship projects of this administration. We are on record saying that we want to be able to say that that we redevelop Storby into one of the flagship beach facilities on the island of Tobago and position it not just for the visitors who have come year in, year out, the community who supports all the activities there and everybody who's part of that ecosystem that has grown over the years, but we really want to also position it as a cruise ship attraction as well. And, you know, we have to enhance those facilities to world standard. And in order to do that, we need to spend some money. We haven't identified those funds as yet, and there are a number of options that we have in terms of going out for financing for the project. But we're at mid-year. We're hoping that at the mid-year review, there's some additional funding being made available to the Tobago House of Assembly. For me, I would be pushing Storby as one of the projects that we could definitely look at. But whatever the future of the project is, we would simply come back and communicate to our stakeholders what we are doing in terms of how we are seeking to finance the project and what are the possible timelines for implementation. So those are our 5 projects out of that 44 list that we have as part of what we have to put forward from the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. All the other things that I've spoken about during the process of this conversation are our soft projects that we are doing within the division. So that is part of my larger list of 44 that I'm ticking off. And, you know, as I said, we have the scholarship program coming on stream. We have the Community Tourism Sustainable Grant Program. We have that program we're doing in collaboration with the Division of Finance and BDU to provide grant support and loan support for different businesses in the tourism and creative sectors. And we have a number of other smaller projects, a lot of other smaller things that we're doing. It's really to keep front of mind, very visible, but not just that, the larger aim behind all of these things, as I said, is to build capacity, because we have to build capacity. We have to get our people ready. The division has to be the lead agency where building capacity in the sector is concerned, certainly working with our stakeholders and being able to provide support to them, strengthening those partnerships across sectors, because a lot of what tourism does impacts on other areas. It impacts on food security and sustainable development and in the environment. It impacts on fisheries, it impacts on education, it impacts on health, it impacts on infrastructure. You know, a lot of what we would want to see happen in the tourism sector impacts on all of these areas. So it's all about ensuring that whatever we are doing it in line with the other plans and mandates of the other divisions and the visions of the other secretaries, and doing our part, because again, the simple fact of the matter is that we have to beckon people to experience more, and it all starts with us. So building capacity starts with the person and extends to the community, and we are just here to do the work, and we're committed to getting the job done.
All right, thank you very much, Secretary. We had such an extensive interview with you, and we have so much more to discuss, but perhaps we could come back and discuss that at another time.
Not a problem, not a problem.
Thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for our program. But before we go, we have to go back to our photo of the day. Our photo of the day is sent in by Nature Therapy TT. And this is a photo of no man's land. Yes, it's a photo of no man's land. You can see there on the right-hand side the Bonaccord Lagoon and the Caribbean Sea on the other side as well. Beautiful shot of no man's land. Thank you very much, Nature Therapy TT, for that photo. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program this morning on the Tobago Updates Morning Show, but we have up next GMT, so don't leave, stick with us. Do us a favor, share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll see you tomorrow.
ceremony serves as the culminating event of the department's commemorative activities in observance of the International Labour Organization's World Day for Safety and Health at Work 2025. This year's theme, Revolutionizing Health and Safety, the Role of AI and Digitalization at Work, inspired the OSH department to integrate technology into all major activities.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I think safety could be overlooked. And as I did in my research, I noticed that it costs billions actually. And the loss of life is in the millions. Just because people are not mindful of some of the simple things. You know, and to have it highlighted in this way is really beneficial.
The fact that persons are now more aware of it, and we see that there is a widening of information. So more persons are now informed about occupational safety and health, and as a result of such, they're actually helping to implement these things in the workplace, and by such, they are now able to put it out there.
When I first was invited to join the safety committee, I understand that safety is part of everything that we do, so it was an easy fit. Safety is part of me. It's not like I went out there looking just to look for an award. I was actually surprised when I was awarded. It was just me doing my work, understanding that safety is over everything.
This is the second year in a row I've won Employee of the Year, and honestly, it caught me by surprise, right? Yes, I work hard. I'm very, dedicated to my job. Probably a little too much. But it feels good that I'm actually recognized for making a change within my division.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to the island.
good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. I know whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. The Division of Education, Research and Technology has launched a Tobago's Community Impact Program, a 2-year research-based initiative aimed at bridging educational gaps across the island. Education Secretary Zoisha Hackett emphasized that the program reflects Tobago's cultural and educational identity, shaped through extensive community collaboration. Hackett described the launch as a milestone in educational transformation, reaffirming that every Tobagonian, regardless of age or background, deserves access to education. The initiative underscores the division's commitment to inclusive, community-driven development, expanding opportunities not only for youth, but also for adults across Tobago. Additionally, the 2025 wet season has officially begun in Trinidad and Tobago. According to the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Services, following the weekend rain that triggered a yellow level warning, with thunderstorms and flash floodings reported. The wet season typically runs from June to December, though recent trends show May as the starting point. The Atlantic hurricane season overlaps, with forecasts predicting near normal activity. 4 systems may develop near Trinidad and Tobago. The first tropical wave has emerged off Africa and is expected by May 25th. And finally, Tobago's tourism and fishing industries are under growing threats as the sargassum seaweed crisis worsens. Despite significant cleanup investment, President of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, Reginald McLean, says over $250,000 has been spent tackling sargassum seaweed, yet the issue is escalating. He urged intervention from the Trinidad and Tobago government while asking the THA to also intervene. He warned that tourism is suffering, with visitors deterred and businesses overwhelmed by cleanup costs. A US $25 million UNDP Japan partnership will fund equipment and maintenance in Speyside. Meanwhile, All Tobago Fisherfolk Association President Curtis Douglas highlights the sargassum seaweed's toll on fishermen, damaging engines, reducing catches, and threatening livelihood. Both sectors are calling for urgent action to prevent lasting damage to Tobago's economy and reputation. And that was our news in 90 seconds. Now, this morning we continue our conversations here on Tobago Updates by speaking about the Mental Health Awareness Month. We are in the month of May still, actually, though some persons are waiting patiently for it to end. I heard some persons saying, is it not pay already? But guys, we are still in May, and we are taking the time out not only to talk about it, but to understand all that's happening surrounding mental health. And this morning I have the privilege of sitting in studio and chatting with some beautiful ladies from the TRHA. This morning I'm chatting with Ms. Tennille Graham, who is a therapeutic counselor, as well as Mrs. Takian Ned Augustine, who is the senior program coordinator. Good morning, ladies, and welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Now, when it comes to mental health, we have realized that the conversation is becoming more popular now, more than before. Before, when you heard about mental health, you just thought of mad people. And there was always a cultural stigma attached of mental health being connected to witchcraft and evil as we grew up. That's what we knew, mental issues to be. But as we, we become more exposed to technology and information, we now understand that it's a whole lot more, and it's just as medical as any physical illness, right? Mental health illnesses, we know, span from a number of different issues, from basic anxiety and depression to ADHD, autism, persons who suffer with seizures and all of these things. But we don't want to lump everything together, right? So tell us about some of the specific work that you have been doing at the TRHA as it pertains to raising mental health awareness. That's great.
Right. So, at the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, we work with persons with all different types of health concerns, whether it be physical and, as you said, mental. And for Mental Health Awareness Month, obviously, we want to bring mental health to the forefront here. So, at the division, what we do, we work with persons specifically with mental health challenges, we like to say. So we don't really like to use the word illnesses, because not every challenge is an illness, right? Just wanted to inform you on that. So we have, like you rightfully and correctly said, that we have persons that are dealing with anxiety, depression. We also have disorders such as autism, ADHD, Down syndrome, and the list continues.
Excellent. And so the awareness that you guys are raising right now, is it focused specifically towards children or adults or everyone? And what are some of the activities that are happening right now?
It's basically a mixture of both. We work with both children and adults. At the division, we cater more so, there is a unit specific for children actually. And we also have a unit that speaks to children who are disabled, and that falls under inclusion and diversity unit. They have TechVoc. I think the public should be aware of TechVoc. Right. That's where children and adults with special needs will go and learn skills on a daily basis.
Right. And how important is it for the work that you guys are doing to really get out there so persons understand that there are resources that they can use from your division and tap into that to get the type of help that they need?
It's very, very important. Like you said at the beginning of the session, is that we have so much poor understanding, and yes, a lot of misunderstanding of what mental health is about, and we get, you know, stigmas attached to it. So we hear that people are crazy or they're not right, or it's a spiritual attack that we like to do, especially in the West Indies here. So we would love to break that stigma and just educate persons. So if you see persons probably acting out of the norm, we want persons to be aware that, you know, this could be a mental health challenge, and that, you know, the Division of Health is here to help.
Right. And even within the thrust of what's happening this month, especially at the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, you guys are focused particularly on children and disabilities. So tell us about some of the efforts surrounding that, maybe from both.
So children with disability, it's sometimes a ticklish topic because there are times when persons, they don't want to accept diagnosis. So what we try to do is inform and allow persons to identify some of the symptoms that these persons may possess so that they can actually acquire the help that they do need. Because without early interventions and help, it can derail into something a little bit more difficult, and that will cause more conflict within, even within the family setting. So what we try to do is give the information so that persons can identify some of the symptoms and reach out so that they can get the help that they do desire.
Right. And how are these children diagnosed?
So most times, so based on what we do a assessment, basic assessment, you know, to get a feel of what are some of the symptoms that are arising within the home or within the school. And then based on what is given, for example, if the child is not paying attention in class, very disruptive, they might be doing things physically with the hand repeatedly, making sounds that are abnormal to a regular child. We reached out to the schools, and the school will give us the information. And most times the school system, which is the Division of Education, sometimes they do assessment with the social support unit, or they might even refer the child to a Children and Adolescent Center where they can actually get a deeper assessment as to what is the root issue of the child, and they give a diagnosis with recommendations for treatment.
I'm glad that you touched on that, because I was just about to ask, you know, to what extent does your partnership with the Division of Education go? Like, how are you guys working together to ensure that, as it pertains to kids at the lower levels, especially primary school or, you know, early childhood, that you can truly be able to assess and identify some of those mental health issues or, challenges, challenges, right, that could hinder learning.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that partnership really done?
It's at the end of the day, we're all under the umbrella of the THE. So the main goal is to help, to offer assistance. So it's not a matter of this is education's responsibility or health responsibility. So we like to collaborate and come together and see if we could help to the best of our ability to help that child or student. A lot of times because our children are in school, the majority of them are in school. So sometimes we get referrals from the teachers themselves, you know. Sometimes they go straight to education for social support, as Ms. Ned Augustine said, or sometimes they come to us. And if it is that they do come to us, what we do is we will have something called case conferencing with the teachers or anybody who's directly involved with the child. So we could come to some sort of agreement on how to move forward with treatment.
Right, and Teniel, I know that you would have done some international study as well. How was that for you, transitioning from that international environment and seeing some of the strategies that they implement, you know, in the first world, and trying to implement it into some of the policies and recommendations that you are making here?
It has been, at the beginning it was, I wouldn't lie, it was a little bit challenging, but I would like to say that Tobago is very, very blessed. We have a variety of resources and we have a government that is truly willing to be at the forefront of help. So it's not that or my suggestions would have been tossed aside. Everything is trying to be incorporated for the betterment of Tobago, I guess. Yeah.
Excellent. And how has it been for you working with kids with disabilities?
It's been honestly overall rewarding. That's the word. And I know it's a cliche. I know, you know, people say it all the time. But when you see the improvements and you see them conquering something that they once could not have done, you can't help but feel that sense of pride, that sense of achievement for them, and just, yeah, it's very rewarding. I think Ms. Ned could attest to the same.
Yes, it is rewarding. Sometimes when you see where you started with that particular child or that family and you get them to a place where they can help themselves, it's really rewarding. And it's refreshing to know that whatever you have learned, you can input it into a family so that they can strive on their own without being too dependent on you as a therapist or a social worker or a case management officer.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was just about to talk about the importance of the partnership with the parents, because in the beginning you said that a lot of parents don't want to accept the diagnosis. So how do you collaborate with parents and open that dialogue to have them not only accepting of the resources, but, you know, just being more willing, open and accepting towards their child?
First, I must say that information is very important. Sometimes it's just that you don't want to be looked at as something is wrong with your child or something, my child is different. So I think that's some of the mindset of some of the parents. So I believe once you give them the information, they see the symptoms for themselves and they actually return to you for the assistance, because the reality is you can't force someone to accept help. That's the truth. If you force someone to accept help, you're basically doing it for yourself and not for the actual person who needs that help. So it's always best to give the information, allow them to see it, and then let them come to you for the assistance.
Right, and I guess you can also respond as it pertains to that partnership with the parents and getting them to accept the child.
Fully agree with what Ms. Ned Augustine said, is that it is a challenge, you know, to get parents on board. It's scary. I could understand from their perspective. Like she said, there's a stigma in Tobago. Like you said, there's a stigma in Tobago, and nobody wants to know that they are different or abnormal, you know. And you could carry a horse to a river, as the saying goes, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
So we will give them the best suggestions, the best recommendations, and tell them how we plan to intervene or give some sort of intervention. And a lot of times it's not received well, but I could tell you the majority of times they will return and they will say, okay, I see what you were saying, Ms. Graham. I do want the help, and you know how we could move forward.
Right.
Yeah.
What type of systems are in place to support parents? You know, like a support group that parents can be a part of? Is this something that exists, or is it something that you have thought of implementing so that parents have that support system among themselves too? You know, not just for the resources that you provide at the division, but that emotional support.
You can. So at the division, we do have therapeutic counselors that work with parents. We do have parenting programs, co-parenting programs that you can reach out to for support, because it's not easy. It's not easy. Also, I just want to advocate for some NGOs. So we have an amazing NGO called Autism Tobago. It's not directly associated with the Division of Health.
Right.
However, it does provide parental support for persons with autism, right? And we also have something called the Down Syndrome Family Network.
Right.
There are NGOs that offer a wide range of support and, you know, persons who want to just air their frustrations. So.
And what about just general mental health NGOs? Are there any that support, you know, child and children's mental health and well-being outside of the autism and the ADHD
Just
and
general.
those challenges? Just general, especially where, you know, social issues are concerned, right? A lot of times, you know, there are problems in the home where those children need that support. So are there any NGOs or independent bodies that help with that in Tobago that you know of?
At present, none that I know of, but I am willing to find out, because that sounds like a great idea.
No, because someone asked me actually yesterday, she messaged me, she said, do you know of any NGOs that are focused on mental health for children, right? And not just as it pertains to the challenges, right, of Down syndrome and autism and all those other, you know, challenges, but just to give support to children who are at risk or facing. I mean, let's look at the situation where we had 3 children losing both parents, right, in 2023. How do we create a system that supports them as they continue to go along, or have NGOs and work that takes place to bring them into a community that helps them to thrive and to grow and to develop?
Well, I can't speak for the NGOs, but I can speak for the division.
Right.
And we do offer support for cases like that. We have had cases like that in the past where we intervene, and like we spoke about case conferencing. So if it is that a similar case to that happens, God forbid, but if it does happen, we do collaborate with all the agencies involved. So whether it be education, CAC, CSSU, everybody will jump on board to see how these children could be helped.
Right. And even for those parents who, as you say, they may not want to accept it, but you cannot shove it down their throats. You can't force them, right? Children suffer. So what is done in a situation like that, where the parent is just like, he's fine or she's fine, she's good, they're just different, but they're fine?
There are different entities within the Tobago space that actually caters to things such as that. For example, the Children's Authority, that body of persons, once a issue is reported where a child's needs are being neglected, they actually lend intervention by investigating to ensure that the information they receive is accurate, to then bring a group of persons on board so that they can assist that family. So in other ways, the child gets the help that they desire. Because there are some parents who will never see the need for intervention. So the Children's Authority body is that overarching body that will ensure that the parents take care of the children.
Excellent. And I want to touch a bit as it pertains to support. I know that your focus right now in this campaign is on children with disabilities, but I cannot not talk about moms and how important it is for mothers to have, you know, that mental health in the right place in order to function as, you know, at their highest capacity. But we're going to take a break first. And we'll be back right after this as we continue this interesting conversation as it pertains to Mental Health Awareness Month. Guys, you're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back right after this. See you soon.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago, so it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
Good morning, Tobago, right here on Tobago Updates. I'm your host, Chanel Felix. Guys, this morning we continue as we chat about that Mental Health Awareness Month and everything that the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection has been doing to raise awareness. Now, this morning I continue my conversation as I sit in studio, and before we were talking a bit about children with disability, and I have the privilege of sitting with Ms. Tennille Graham as well as Miss Takiana Ned Augustine. And this morning we want to touch on a little topic before we end off our discussion on the importance of mental health for mothers. Whether you're a single mom, a married mom, you're in a relationship, or you are, one of those older moms that are just tired, child. This morning, what are some of the resources that are available to help moms master mental health and being the best version of themselves?
At the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, there is a unit called the Behavioral Health Unit. This Behavioral Health Unit has 2 subunits underneath it, which is the therapeutic counselors, and we have mediation. You can go to the division on a walk-in basis, or you can even call the telephone, or you could check it online, the website, and send a message so that you could even come and speak with someone about some of the challenges that you're facing as a parent. And when I say parent, I mean both mom and dad, and they will lend intervention to assist you dealing with whatever issues you may be having within the home. Sometimes they might even get referrals from the court where they have to do mediation between both parents to ensure that the personal biases and issues don't affect the well-being of the child. So that's something that they can look into if they're interested and they need that assistance at the Behavioral Health Unit at the Division of Health.
Excellent to know. And, you know, a lot of the mental health that moms face are often tied to limited resources to do the basic things that they need to do for themselves and their children, as well as the support from whether it be family or partners. I know that the division has different financial resources there that moms can access, specifically for those mothers who are single and don't have the support from the father of the child. What are some of the resources that are available in those cases?
That will be the social support unit.
Right.
That social support unit allows persons to come in on a walk-in basis, and you give them your information and they do a means test to assist you. They do such as home improvement, furniture such as like a bed or fridge.
Right.
They even assist with food card temporarily.
Right.
So those are some of the services they can receive at the support unit.
We also have a program called PAM. It's a program for adolescent mothers.
Yes.
So for young mothers, probably teen pregnancies or early 20s, who may just need a little extra, support. So we have programs like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I can touch a little bit more on PAM. So PAM, Program for Adolescent Mothers, is geared to children who are in the school system and got pregnant, and they are free to go to this program. They are normally referred from the community centers, health centers, who will, when you go in for your prenatal checkups, they will refer you to this program, and you get skill-based as well as educational based. So that is something that is catered to young mothers.
Are they also given a stipend?
Yes, a stipend is given once you attend. Yes, once you attend. So you can't just sign up and don't show up and expect to get a stipend.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad that you raised that, and I'm glad that we will, even though we are talking about children with disabilities, that we could make sure that we allow the moms out there, young, old, to know that there are resources to help you with your mental health, because we know that if the mothers are not in the right place, it has a negative impact on the children. And not just mothers, fathers as well, but specifically, I got you all ladies this morning. So guys, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussion. Thank you for coming and brightening up my set this morning. Thank you for bringing your resources and all the information as it pertains to the type of help that is being offered by the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. And we look forward to not only tapping into those resources, but continuing to promote them here on Tobago Updates. We are open whenever you need us to use our platform to spread the word as it pertains to helping women, children, and all of Tobago to maximize some of the resources that are available to assist them in their mental health. Again, there's counseling available. There's also the parental youth.
Yeah. We have parenting and co-parenting programs.
Parenting and co-parenting, because we know that toxic relationships between partners have a negative impact on not only your mental health, but the children's mental health. So these are things that you can tap into again. So if persons want to reach out or they want to benefit from some of the services, how can they do so?
They can do so via our website. They can walk into the Division of Health, which is located up at Glen Road, or they can call our number at
683-8341. 8341.
8341. 683-8341.
Yes.
Right, guys, you got it here. And then they are also on Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah, you can follow the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection on Facebook, and you can get to see all the latest happenings there. Be a part of that, or just refer someone that you know who may need that type of assistance. But guys, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back with much more conversation right after this season.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning.
With Flow Business's new smart solutions powered by super fast, reliable broadband, you'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games, and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest. We protect. Everyone benefits.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49SWIFT 4979438.
TNTech is pleased to advise that its Roxborough Service Center has reopened. Starting Monday, 10th March, customers can once more visit the Roxborough Administrative Building to pay TNTech bills, request new connections, and more. TNTech, powering the nation into the next generation.
updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand
Good
new
morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Update. So I want to alert the public, if you do not know, that there are some divisions that are within the Glen Road area that would be closed today because of a power interruption by TNTech. So that would include the Division of Settlements, the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, as well as the Division of Community Development. Those offices are closed today because there is no power on that side. So along that Plymouth Road, there's interruptions happening there. So those offices are closed today. Just in case you intended to do business on that side, or you know anyone who is going to possibly do business on that side today, those offices are closed, but the regular schedule will resume from tomorrow. And so that's today, Tuesday, the 20th of May. Those offices on that Glen Road, Plymouth Road area are closed because of power interruptions by TNTech. They are commencing some maintenance work on that side of the island, so there are technical interruptions happening. But guys, this morning we want to continue our conversations, and we are jumping right into it with my guest this morning. I have the privilege of sitting and chatting with Mr. Kevin Smith, who is the Vice President of the Apiculture Society, and we are chatting about World Bee Day. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Tobago.
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for having me here as a representative of Tobago Agricultural Society.
Right now, you guys have been doing a lot of work, and specifically as it pertains to raising awareness among the youth and raising awareness among children to let them know that this is a viable and a lucrative industry, and the role of bees in the entire ecosystem. So talk about some of the work that you guys have been doing. I know that we do have some photos on deck of some of the recent work. You have had some visits from the library. So tell us a bit about some of the projects that you have recently been embarking on.
Right. So we have been around for 30 odd years in the Tobago space, and as a small community within the agricultural sector, we do have a very impactful force. Now, with regards to training, we have recently, I should say, working with the Signal Senior Comprehensive, along with the Masonal Comprehensive, sorry. We are now working with them to sponsor them the startup for their APRI, as well as the equipment and training to ensure that the education is being passed on to the younger generation, which is very crucial for any industry. So the continuance is surely there.
Excellent. And how excited are the kids as it pertains to bees and beekeeping and apiary, and, you know, as they're being exposed, how excited are they?
Well, I must say that from all the visits that we have had recently, it was very electrifying. You know, like they're all asking questions. They want to make sure how they can be a part of it, how they can help the ecosystem, how they could even mind bees or take care of bees and the process in doing so, if it is something that they could do as a profession after their school tenure.
Okay, well, we really love that. Now, for the persons who do not know and they see bees as a source of honey or a pest, can you tell us about the role of bees in the entire ecosystem?
Well, as common knowledge will know that without bees, you don't get to eat. Most of our food is pollinated by bees, whether it be the local stingless bees, Melipony, or the European bees, Apis mellifera. All right. Other than that, yes, they have a sting hazard. That is their way of defending their nests. I mean, they have to have some way to defend your own, right? And with that caution being in mind, you now have to be trained or exposed properly to the art of beekeeping, so therefore you wouldn't pose a danger to yourself or anyone else coming in your range. So that is why there are laws governing this practice.
Excellent. And now this is a lucrative industry. Tell us about some of the economic benefits of investing in beekeeping.
All right. So for now, it is most people know beekeeping to just to be honey. Right. That's the basic thing. But as we go forward and explain to people, honey is considered some of the cheaper aspect of beekeeping, yes. We have things like the other products of the hive, like propolis. Well-known beeswax. Everybody knows beeswax is something that's used in everything else. Mention propolis. Propolis is a sap the bees bring, tree resin that they bring into the hive and they use as bee glue. That has antimicrobial, antiviral, and antibiotical properties that people use and make tinctures for other treatments or treat ailments and stuff like that. You have pollen. That is a new thing that we're trying to encourage people to seek out. That is very rich in protein and other vitamins, amino acids, and stuff like that. So these products actually carry a greater price, and something that we are looking into is feasibility study into queen rearing. Yes, so people do purchase queen bees itself to encourage them, to encourage their business. You could also buy nucleus colonies, which is a smaller version or a starter colony for those who are in the industry or wish to start within the industry. From preliminary checks and experiments, we have realized that those things carry a greater higher cost. Where that honey is seasonal, you could actually do queen rearing and collect some of these other properties throughout the entire year. Because of where we are in the tropics, we are not subjected to the winter, so we have that advantage.
And how useful are these properties for the creation of, let's say, you said there are medical benefits. So as it pertains to creating medicine for different illnesses, and what is the type of technology that is needed to, expand the research and development of that area?
All right, so I'll talk about the research and development. Currently, we're partnered with UTT in some of these studies. Up to last week, they were here collecting samples of honey throughout Tobago from the east, west, north, and south to get the different properties and qualities within the different microclimates within Tobago. Because truth be told, in each area, although Tobago is a small island, within each area you will have different tastes, different values based on the flora and fauna available at that given time. The medicinal value that you mentioned with regards to especially talk about the propolis, it is something that is called a tincture, which is basically soaking it in alcohol, a specific trade. And what it does over a period of time is extract most of the properties out, and it is stored inside there. Countries like Brazil, Argentina would have used that for any throat infections in particular. We have countries like Costa Rica as well picking up the challenge and also going deeper into it as well.
Excellent. Even as it pertains to the type of investment that is needed to make Tobago an apiculture hub within the region where students can come from all over the world to study here in Tobago, what type of investment is needed to expand the current industry?
Well, that has a lot to do with collaborative efforts between the THE and ourselves and other private stakeholders to ensure this dream becomes a reality, because not one person could push this dream. Fair enough. And with that being said, so far we are working the ground to really get that to a reality with, as I said, collaboration with the THE and with some of these secondary schools, as what I mentioned before. So that will be the step going forward. In addition to international groups that would have been partnering with on the low to ensure that we have favorable results down there before we come public with that one. But so far, with the partnership with UTT, we have seen that there is great potential for further expansion within the industry, especially in Tobago.
Right. And what about reaching out to those international institutions to send those invitations for them to send cohorts to Tobago?
Well, as I said, we are now in communication with one body from Canada, and we hope to expand on that relationship to encourage such behavior, or should say such actions, to continue.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you so much. Is there anything that you want to say to Tobagoans? Is there any activities that you guys have coming up as you celebrate World Bee Day that the public can support?
Well, today we're encouraging persons to visit the botanical gardens where the Tobago Reforestation and Watershed, where they are having under the theme "Be Inspired by Nature to Nourish Us All." They're having, you could bring your flowers or anything there. We could establish a pollination zone. So the activity today will be at the Botanical Gardens.
Excellent. So that's at the Botanics today. We are celebrating World Bee Day.
Yes.
Can you tell us what time it's starting?
I believe you could come from from 10, 11 o'clock today, and you can start a drop-off.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to that. We look forward to, as you said, persons can bring their plants if they want them to be pollinated.
Part of the pollination zone that they're establishing in Tobago.
Excellent. Well, again, we want to thank you so much, and we want to extend greetings to the entire Tobago Apiculture Society. And thank you guys for the work that you have been doing and continue to do to contribute to Tobago's entire ecosystem.
Yes.
You know, and encouraging the youth to get involved and to understand the role of bees. You know, usually we're either killing them or trying to steal their nest.
We know that there's a stigma behind it, so we're trying to work our best to get around that. We
Right.
acknowledge the fact that yes, they do sting, but we're trying to let people know there are ways to mitigate against that. It's just proper education.
What about the persons who have property where they might be nests around their home? Can they call you guys to get those nests removed? Because you never know, they might just have some pretty rare bees.
Well, yes. So we'd have had calls, or not say individual beekeepers would have had calls where that they would have heard some humming and thinking they're bees that they can sting. Now, like I said, there are different types of bees in Tobago.
Right.
So we advise people to communicate still with the beekeeper within your area, and they will move to either remove them or advise you that it's not a threat.
Okay, excellent. Well, again, thank you so much. And I want to thank our audience this morning for being a part of this morning's enriching discussions. We want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Guys, again, I am Chanel Felix, and have a great day.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong.